Right, hello everybody. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you have done, I would guess that you maybe know something already about Greater Manchester's hidden talent, but you might not know who we are. So my name's Ben. I'm the Communications and Employee Engagement Officer on the programme. I'm in Wigan today, and usually I would be sat right next to Gav, but I'm not. So Gav, do you want to introduce yourself and where you are at the minute?
I'm Gavin Owen, and I'm the Programme Manager for Hidden Talent, and I'm just the other side of Stockport, so I don't think we could be further apart in Greater Manchester from south east to north west.
We've got it covered though, Gav, haven't we? We've got it covered. Yeah, today we're recording this because there's been quite a few changes to the programme, the way we're delivering. Like everybody, we're having to adapt quickly under really testing circumstances, and we just thought it would be easier to talk about that really between Gav and myself, because there's been some real shift in the way we've had to deliver our work with young people. I think as like a best way of introducing you guys to how we've shifted is maybe we need to go back a step and just talk about how the programme was working to begin with. Gav, are you okay to just give people a bit of an overview of how Hidden Talent operated in what was normal?
So we have organisations called delivery partners in each of the 10 boroughs within Greater Manchester. And they employ talent coaches who work directly with the young people, the hidden young people, who are between 18 and 25. They're not in employment, education, or training, or claiming any benefits. And the talent coaches are working very holistically, one-to-one, doing all types of support. We also have 42nd Street, who offer mental health support to the young people, but also advice and guidance to the talent coaches as well. And then we have the Greater Manchester Youth Network, who facilitate the youth panel. And the youth panel, and they sit on the steering group, they do a lot of work jointly with us, and they help us by holding us to account, but also give us a young people's perspective on any work that we do.
I think it's, the talent coaches, as Gav was mentioning, they're fundamentally youth workers, aren't they, Gav? Sort of different emphases. Some have specialities in a certain area of youth work, but it's predominantly face-to-face work, detached youth work, meeting young people where they're at. And I think that's where the big change for us as a programme has happened, and that's what we're going to talk about, the shift to remote working for our talent coaches. But just as a start, Gav, I think, do you want to kind of talk about some of the amazing work that those coaches have been able to do, even though they've not been able to meet face-to-face? They've been following the social distancing guidelines like everybody else, but for the past 2 months, they've really been able to score some big successes when nobody else might have been able to do that had they not worked so closely with the young people in the first instance.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things that we did with the talent coaches and their delivery partner organisations was say that we want to keep in contact more with you so that we know how the young people are, but also what changes that you're making to be able to adapt to these strange circumstances. So the talent coaches are still taking referrals. They're still able to refer to 42nd Street if the young people need mental health support. And they've been assisting with any new benefit claims for the young people who've had to come out of work, whether they've been laid off or that their potential new job didn't start. It means that they're claiming benefits sometimes for the first time, so the talent coaches have had to take them through that. They are now, they have such a good and trusted relationship with the young people that they're making themselves available 7 days a week. So they are working weekends so that the young people can contact them if they have any support needs or they just want to have a chat. And as we're all struggling with isolation, then having somebody that you can contact when you need to has been a big boost for the young people. And I think as well, they've been sourcing exercise equipment. We know that some of the talent coaches have got bikes for young people so that they're able to help with the daily exercise. and in some cases are well delivering food parcels as well to families to support them that way. So even though there hasn't been able to have that face-to-face support, the breadth of support that they're still able to offer online has been phenomenal, really.
I think, yeah, just to follow up on a couple of those points, Gav, your point about claiming, I think it's really intense work, isn't it, for some of those guys to support a young person with a claim if the young person has literacy difficulties or doesn't have access to Wi-Fi or home internet. They've really had to, it's been a case of, you know, sharing screenshots, guiding people through opening a claim over the phone. It's been quite intense. And the point you made about weekend working, I know we had one talent coach who got a young person into a job on a Monday because the employer rang the coach on a Saturday saying we're having problem verifying ID, and the coach was able to do that on the Saturday to enable the Monday start. So I think it's, you know, who else would have been there at that time but a talent coach? And we had one coach, didn't we, sort of acting as a bit of an intermediary in a family dispute, and kind of the young person had left home and the first person they called was their talent coach, and that coach is now trying to build a bridge between family and young person. And I think it just shows how trusted they are.
Yeah, there's so many different things to so many different people, and throughout it all is trying to give that stability to the people, whether it is around being the catalyst to look for jobs and give them confidence, but also being the media sometimes between them and if they have you know, challenges in their home life as well.
I think we have seen, haven't we, Gav, that there's been interruptions to young people's objectives and progress inevitably, as there's been interruptions for everyone, but particularly if you're working towards getting a job, which is the sort of the ultimate goal of our programme. Yeah, we've seen a few kind of roadblocks, haven't we, for young people?
Yeah, I think as I said earlier, some of those jobs that haven't materialised, or people have had work experience programs that haven't started. I think CSCS courses that have had to be postponed because the test centres aren't open, and especially there are a lot of young people that the talent coaches are working with who are in construction, and obviously construction has shut down at the moment. You know, that it's likely that it's starting again, which from their point of view and being back in employment is great and positive. But then the other thing is that there are anxieties about going out to work and what the safety issues there, especially as, you know, the vast majority of our young people are travelling on public transport.
Yeah, these are kind of things we're going to have to explore as we go along, aren't we? And just keep speaking to our delivery partners to hear how young people who have been fortunate enough to go back to work or find work are finding that. I think we've seen also sort of interruptions with kind of plans, haven't we? I've one coach talking about someone who wanted to work in care as a long-held ambition, but now they're scared by the prospect of working in care for their health and safety, and young people having to reevaluate their goals, aren't they? But I think we have seen some sort of major breakthroughs for some young people where our coaches have kind of helped them think, okay, you might have to park that long-held objective, but right now you are ready for work. Let's see what you can do at the present time. And we've had young people go into logistics roles where coaches have known that actually this young person has a lot of potential to maybe go further, but for now, let's just get you into that. Someone wants to be a sports coach. Well, their talent coach has said, why don't you become a pastoral support worker for now? There's need for that now. So our coaches are reacting to the fast changing nature of the labour market. They're really being flexible with that. I think you touched on it. Well, I don't know if we have yet, but remote learning's been sort of a positive for some young people, hasn't it, Gav? We've seen that's been a bit of a change.
It has, yeah. I mean, as I said earlier, we've been meeting with the talent coaches more regularly. We did do that quarterly, but we've been doing it every three weeks, and with the delivery partner organisations, their managers, every month. And I think from that, it's meant that the talent coaches have had the peer support of one another, have been able to share ideas. And we do have an online platform where people can post information about different opportunities. But because there isn't that geographic location restriction anymore of, everyone doing things in their own borough. If they're doing something online like a job club, or one of our organisations was doing podcasts and training and the technical ability around that, and it meant that other people from the different boroughs were able to go to that because they didn't have those travel restrictions. There wasn't the anxiety of travelling from one side of Manchester to the other. So although there are some restrictions around online learning, it does mean that those people who are isolated and may be worried about travelling on their own or entering new circumstances without the talent coach, that they are able to do that because it is available online.
I think it's a swing. You already mentioned it there, Gav, didn't you? It's not the case for everybody. It's a swings and roundabouts thing. There's going to be some coaches saying there's young people who don't quite have they're not in a place to access things really. They need to go to an open day to see tutors, to see mentors before they'll actually engage with something. Just sending someone an online portal is not always going to be the most accessible means. So it's, online courses are different things to different people.
And I think that's the thing, when young people join the program and they talk about how they're feeling at the moment, one of the overriding issues is that lack of confidence and that lack of face-to-face, and the talent coach not being there. It is a big difference, when they're doing a CV or talking to them about potential courses. Being in the same room as someone is more comforting rather than over the phone or through text messages or doing video calls like we are now. So I think one of the things that the talent coaches have said to us is that it is difficult to know whether the person is still motivated and doing what they would normally do to achieve their goals. So doing the job applications, it's hard to check whether that's still happening. And also because our young people aren't children, there has to be that balance of keeping in touch but not being too overbearing, because the talent coaches are worrying about that pushback of saying, I'm okay, you don't need to contact me so often. If I need you, I'll get in touch. So it's a fine balance that the talent coaches are having to tread at times as well.
And it's similarly as a bit of a drawback to not being able to meet face to face. I think it was similar on our earlier program, Talent Match. Hidden Talent's the same. Our coaches, we trust them to do the job they need to do. So some young people, we're not prescriptive in terms of how the coach works. Some coaches will go and do home visits ordinarily, wouldn't they? They would go and meet a young person where they're at, metaphorically and physically, and get people, pick them up in the morning, take them out, that routine building, that overcoming social anxiety. Okay, I'm going to meet you at your house. We're going to go out together. We're going to take public transport together. I think some coaches are rightly kind of concerned that they might need to do that work again, which is a shame for young people who are perhaps building up to that point of gaining more independence. And as you touched upon, confidence is a big issue. So I think it's just a case of watch and see, isn't it, for those young people?
Yeah, I think as well, it's I think for some young people, the talent coaches have said that they were, because of that lack of confidence, they were in their own homes a lot, and so that has carried on. And because they're not able to see them face to face, they've not been the catalyst to be that encouragement, move people forward. So there are young people who are, who, although they're stable and their well-being is good, they aren't progressing because of the lockdown.
I think we've seen, haven't we, Gavin, that the built-in mental health support we've had has been vital, hasn't it? The fact that can keep on going for young people, and the fact that they've been able to be counselled remotely online, and some young people weren't doing that before lockdown. They've agreed to, okay, we'll give it a go, online counselling, and they've stuck with that. Some were working online before with a mental health practitioner, but that's been a kind of a big sort of a big positive, hasn't it, that can continue?
Yeah, It has, and I've been speaking to 42nd Street yesterday and today about doing the next round of mental health training for the talent coaches as online learning, and that would be delivered remotely. So we're looking to do something in the next few weeks where the talent coaches would log on and 42nd Street would do the training that they were going to do face-to-face. They will do that online now. So it's great that as well as the talent coaches being flexible, 42nd Street are in the way that they're supporting the young people, but also the talent coaches as well with their training. And I think you're right what you say about still being the talent coaches being able to offer that mental health and wellbeing support. But 42nd Street, given the option to the young people of it being over the phone, that support, being online, or pausing that mental health support as well. So again, giving the young people the option of what is most suitable for them.
I think, sort of looking forward as well, we're sort of entering a sort of semi-easing of the lockdown. Some of our coaches are going to move back to face-to-face working potentially in the next few weeks. It might be we need to do another one of these video updates for everybody just to let our stakeholders know how we've shifted again. It's going to be a fast-changing landscape, but I think some of our coaches have said it's okay that we can go out the house and meet people whilst they're doing social distancing, but we're reliant on other services to open, aren't we, as a programme? We need the referral pathways to open. We need safe spaces for talent coaches to meet young people. Sometimes that would be a library, a coffee shop, a youth zone. The whole system needs to be in function.
Yeah,
really. So it's going to be interesting.
It is. I mean, the other thing as well to consider, and we're us and the talent coaches and delivery partners are trying to be positive about this, is will the employment opportunities still be there as well? And that's something that we'll be working hard with the delivery partners to try and explore all those employment opportunities that may come up, working with the combined authority, because they will be working to give opportunities to younger people to make sure that they're not at the back of the queue when everything changes and becomes more settled and people are able to go back to work again. I think one of the things that has up there with the talent coaches is around managing that transition back into work for the young people who have been furloughed, and just managing if they have any anxiety about the safety going back into work or closed. And as I said earlier, about being on public transport. So that's something that the talent coaches and 42nd Street will be able to offer support with again.
I think, we maybe didn't touch upon that for people who aren't familiar. Our coach with the model, our coaches do offer that work in support with young people. So it's, that's a vital sort of support mechanism for young people. It's not just whilst you're looking for work. I think we've covered a lot of ground there, Gav. Hopefully people have watched and found it interesting. I think, it's a big credit to our delivery partners. They've been able to carry on working so kind of intensively with young people, even though it's not face to face. So massive thank you to them. If you haven't subscribed to our e-bulletin, there's links below in the video, and also links to our new Twitter feed. We lost our old Twitter account. We've got a new one now, so the details are on the video below now. So please follow us. We need to build back our following again. We've not had an interruption from a cat or a 9-year-old child, so I think we've done quite well there, Gav. Is there anything I've missed before we sign off?
I think my internet connection is going, and I think that's because my son is on another Zoom call, I presume.
I think the last minute or two it's just started to dip off, but I think we've done all right before then. So thank you for watching, everybody. Thanks for that, Gav. And potentially one of these again in the future. But thank you, everyone, and bye for now.